Hello and welcome. My name's George, and my channel is all about helping you get the most out of Logic Pro so that you can record and produce your best music in your home studio. Today, we're going to be looking at the new Studio Piano plugin in Logic Pro, so let's dive in. Okay, so I've got a project loaded up here with a piano part, and I'm going to go ahead and load in the new Studio Piano plugin. So all I got to do for that is to go to my track, or I can create a new track with the little plus button up here and select a software instrument. And once you've created your software instrument, select the track and go to where it says instrument here. Click on that, and we're going to go down to Studio Piano. And that opens up the Studio Piano plugin. Now, in previous versions of Logic Pro, we'd load in the piano using the sampler. And I'll just show that quickly in case there's some patches there that you liked and you still want to be able to revisit. So instead of the Studio Piano, we would go to the sampler, select stereo, and at the top here where it says default preset, click on that, go to app presets, and here's all our different acoustic pianos available to us. Again, so if you're using Logic Pro version 10 or earlier, this is where you would find your acoustic pianos. But in version 11, we have the new studio pianos, which is what we're going to be looking at today. So again, select Studio Piano, stereo, and this is what it first looks like when we load it up. Now, in a previous video, I created this piano part using the new keyboard session player. And if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the top right corner that you can check it out. But let's dive into the Studio Piano and see how these new pianos sound. So we have a few presets that we can check out if you want to get started real quick. And to access those, you'll just go up here where it says default preset. And here you'll see all the different presets we have for the different pianos. So there's actually 3 different pianos: a concert grand, studio grand, and a vintage upright. Now, instead of diving into the presets, I want to take a look at each of these pianos individually. So by default, we have the Studio Grand 1 mic. And my best guess in comparing with the previous Logic pianos is this is likely a Yamaha grand piano. And right out of the gate, this is what it sounds like. So it sounds pretty good. Now with the Studio Grand, there's also another version of it. And this just gives us some additional mics to play with. So by default, we have this one stereo mic A, which is a pair of condenser microphones. And currently that's all we're hearing. So we can turn that on and off. And if I were to turn it off and press play, now we're not hearing anything because none of the microphones are currently on. So that's the stereo mic A. The stereo mic B, that's a pair of ribbon microphones. And that's going to have a slightly different tone, maybe a little bit darker. So let's have a listen to that. And then lastly, there's a mono mic. So this is just one single microphone, and this is a ribbon microphone as well. So the sound's going to be a little bit more centered and not as spread out. So again, if you want the more narrow sound, then you might consider going with the mono mic. And of course, we can mix and match all of these. So you can go ahead and turn all of those on, and you can blend the different microphones to taste. So why don't we start with the mic A at 75%, and then I'll kind of blend in the other ones. Cool, kind of liking that. So you're able to really kind of customize the sound that way just by changing the balance of the different microphones. Now, the additional parameters that we can change mostly relate to the level of noise you want to hear. So, pedal noise, so that's the sustained pedal that is going to be going on and off. And if, for example, if I open up my MIDI here, you can see this is the sustained pedal being on, and this is off, and this is back on again. So every time that up and down motion, you're going to hear a little bit of noise from the pedal. So you can control how much of that noise you want to hear. So for starters, why don't we bring all of this down to 0, and then we'll increase the pedal noise so we can get a sense of what that sounds like. So maybe you heard a bit of a clunk every time we kind of get here. So if you want to eliminate that altogether, you can bring that down to 0. But if you want to get kind of a natural sound, you might want a little bit of that in there. And then the key noise, so that's actually the noise of the keyboard player hitting the keys on the keyboard. So let's bring that up to 100% and see what that sounds like. So you can hear that noise as well. So maybe we'll pull that back a little bit, and let's bring that pedal noise back up. And then we have release samples here, and that's going to control the volume of the hammer returning to the key after it's been pressed. So if we put this all the way to 0, some of the notes might sound a little bit cut off and unnatural. So you probably want a little bit of that in there. But again, that's something that we can adjust to taste. So let's again start at 100%, and we'll probably dial that back. And then lastly, we have the sympathetic resonance. So this controls the amount of resonance of the undampened strings. So let's hear how that affects things. So you can hear a little bit longer decay of the notes, and a little bit more resonance and more of those overtones happening when that is increased. So those are all the different parameters we have for the studio piano, but we still have a few other pianos to check out. So if you want to change to a different piano without changing the preset, you can just click up here, and let's check out the Concert Grand. Now, the Concert Grand, unlike the Studio Grand, is only the one microphone. And I'm going to bet that this Concert Grand is probably sampled after a Steinway piano, like the other pianos found in previous versions of Logic. But we still have the pedal noise, key noise, and release sample and sympathetic resonance that we can change. But we just have the one main microphone for volume. So the Concert Grand sounds like this. So a bit of a brighter sound to me. And lastly, we have the Vintage Upright. And this one again has the three microphones, the condenser pair, the ribbon pair, and the ribbon mono. So again, we can blend these to taste once we turn them on. So much darker sound, a little bit out of tune, but very kind of character upright piano. So if you got a few different pianos that you can try to get the right sound for your own productions, you can of course change the microphone balance for the Vintage Upright and the Studio Grand, and we have the different noise parameters that we can play with as well. So if you have any more questions about the studio piano, please leave those in the comments below. And I want to thank you so much for all the likes and subscribes. And if you want to improve your workflow in Logic Pro, don't forget to download my free Ultimate Logic Pro Starter Pack, which includes my Logic Pro hotkey cheat sheet, my audio recording checklist, my mixing guide, my gear guide, as well as my Logic Pro session templates. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.